Okay.
Welcome to Bookkeeping Made Simple, the podcast that helps business owners, entrepreneurs, and financial professionals take control of their numbers. I'm Bonnie Yam, your host, and today we have a special guest joining us to demystify bookkeeping and share expert advice. Hello, Atilio. Can you introduce yourself and can you tell us a little bit about your experience with bookkeeping and why it's so important to business owners?
Yeah, hi, good afternoon. My name is Atilio Calderon. I am a tax accountant by profession and training. I am an accountant. And now I'm representing ATAT in Belmore, New York. I have 12 years of experience in accounting, bookkeeping, and taxation. And I'm here also because I love helping business owners get more comfortable with their bookkeeping and make sure their foundation for the business is strong.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, well, let's start with the basics. Okay, what exactly is bookkeeping and why is it important?
Well, bookkeeping is important because it's the basis for the success of the business. Bookkeeping is the process of recording every single transaction and making sure that the financials of the business represent the true state of the business.
What are the key
Some of the examples of what you need to do on a daily basis or whenever you sit and work on your books is keep track of your expenses and your income, making sure that you manage efficiently as best you can your payables and your receivables. Reconcile your bank accounts is very important. You need to make sure that your books match the bank. Otherwise, you don't know what your economic position is. You have to make sure that financial reports are prepared correctly and in a timely manner, and that your business is state compliance.
That makes so much sense. What is the difference between bookkeeping and accounting?
Well, it's a very small difference, but it's a big difference at the same time. Because bookkeeping focuses on the transactions of every part of the business. Sales, payables, every transaction is the bookkeeping's job. The accountant is the one that takes those reports from the bookkeepers, turn them into financial statements and reports that he uses to make educated decisions, making sure that whatever decision for the business is done correctly.
That is so important. I mean, it's not just about getting the data down, also how to make the best use of the data so it can help you grow your business. So
Exactly.
Thank you so much,
Yes.
Theo.
Yes.
Yeah. What is some of the best bookkeeping tools and software that you can recommend to business owners?
For the small owner and even to some medium size, depending on the type of business, there are softwares that are easy to use and not too expensive. For example, QuickBooks Online. You basically have your desk wherever you go on the phone. You can do whatever transaction, any information that you need, it's right there at the palm of your hands. The same thing with Xero, Wave Accounting, and FreshBooks. Wave Accounting and FreshBooks are basically free up to a certain level. After that, you start paying, but still, they're very easy to use. And for the startup business, is the perfect tool.
Okay, so how would you pick? Any other advice on like what software I should use? Maybe depending on the stages of my business. Can you comment
depends
on
on
it?
it depends on the type of business that you have and how much or what the volume of the transactions on a daily basis. Will it give you the time for you to actually do the transactions in your software, or you have to hire someone else to do them for you? But having the software that has the capabilities of working with your bank accounts and give you reports right at the palm of your hands is what you really need.
Yeah, I true.
That's what is mostly
Yep.
recommend on a new business, on a startup.
So what about some of the common mistakes that you see in bookkeeping? Can you comment on that?
The greatest mistake that a new person in a business trying to do his own accounting is mixing his personal bank account with the business bank account. Oh, well, it's just a few transactions a week. It doesn't matter. I know which. No, when it comes to an audit from the state or the federal government, they don't want to be sorting between your personal and your business.
Yeah.
It has to be separate.
Yes, I absolutely agree. Yeah.
That's one problem. There is another problem which is also very important because it's just $1. It doesn't matter.
It's $1.
Whether you spend $1 or $10, you have to keep track of those expenses because just remember, if you add $1 a day at the end of the year, you're talking about money that you can see on the report. You can see on your financials is missing that information. Every little thing adds up to a big thing.
Yep.
Take care of your bank accounts. Make sure you reconcile on a monthly basis. As soon as you get your bank statement, make sure you reconcile it and it matches your book and the bank.
Good advice. Good advice.
And one last one, which we all do also, is procrastinating. You have to give the time to your books. You have to assign an hour or two a week, at the very least an hour or two, to get your bookkeeping done.
Right. You're so right. Well, these are great tips. One thing I hear a lot of business owners is that they don't know whether they should do it themselves or maybe hire a bookkeeper. What do you think?
Well, you have to be conscious of the volume of your business, whether you're doing a lot of transactions or just a couple a day or a week. If it's few transactions, if it's the type of business where you don't make too many transactions in the week, you could do it yourself. Get one of these tools like Wave or FreshBooks and you will be okay. But if you're getting into sales that require a lot of daily or weekly transactions, then you need a more sophisticated system and you may need help.
I agree. At this moment, let's just look around. I think there's some questions from listeners. So anybody has any questions they want to ask?
Yeah, I just started a business. What kind of bookkeeping tasks should I focus on first?
Yes, you have to make sure you work on your bank statement. Make sure you reconcile your bank accounts every month. Track your income and expenses. That will tell you on a daily basis whether you have money to purchase materials or to start a new project or not. And make sure that you have a software that's going to help you see that in a matter of seconds. Because the software will compile all that information and tell you have this much money in your bank account. You have spent this amount of money today. You only have this much. You don't have money to spend, for example.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I see another hand going up. So another question?
Yeah, I just finished my first year in business. How long do I have to keep these records for?
Yes, that's an important question because the government, either the federal government or the states, they usually recommend to keep records for 3 to 5 years. However, I do recommend 7 years because there is always an audit, and when they audit and they miss information, they're going to ask you to go back another year or two, and you have them in the palm of your hands, and you'll be more compliant than anybody else would be just keeping 3 or 5 years.
Great comment. These are like fantastic information. Anybody who needs bookkeeping, don't understand bookkeeping, I think like we have some of the tools and we have certainly an expert here that can help you. Atilio is very friendly and has been in this business for 12 years. So look, you can't be an expert in everything, so we are there to help. Now that we talk about bookkeeping, should we just like move on to another very, very high demand topic on payroll? Do you want to
Yes.
talk about a little about payroll?
Yes, yes. Payroll is it's a very exciting and very important function of the business, because payroll is not just cutting a check. It's being compliant with the payroll, and at the same time, it helps you keep your employees happy.
I know, yeah, it's a very complex task. You
Yes.
can't ignore it because it's about somebody else paying somebody else, and not just being in compliant with the rules of the government.
Right. Well, I'm supposed to get paid $400 today. You only pay me $350.
Oh, I need the money.
Right.
Sorry,
So
yeah.
this employee is not happy.
I'm not happy.
So, yeah.
Sure, yeah. All right, so let's start with the basics. What is payroll, and why is it so important for the business?
Well, payroll is very important. As I said, is not just the function of cutting a paycheck. It's the function of calculating the wages of your employees and making sure that they get paid what they are supposed to net, because from the gross pay you need to deduct the income taxes,
So
the
true.
FICA, the unemployment insurance, or any other benefit that they may be deducting
Yeah.
from the paycheck.
Yeah.
In addition to that, you need to be compliant with state and federal laws.
Exactly.
So
you know, like
it
for
is not just a check.
yeah, I know for like a new college graduate, they think that they make $4,000, they're gonna keep that $4,000. When they get the first W-2, they're so surprised. What's going on? I'm only getting what, $2,500? What happened?
Yeah, I don't like to put it this way, but just gotta keep in mind that Uncle Sam is
Uncle Sam,
stretching the hand.
yeah, IRS.
Where's my part? So
state,
yes.
okay,
federal, states,
yes,
Social Security,
Medicare,
unemployment insurance, disability insurance, all those are mandated.
And then if you contribute to 401k, are they
Then
going to
the
take it for your
401k
phone? Yes, and
contribution.
whatever is left is after all those XYZ.
Sick time,
Yes.
vacation time.
Vacation time.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you for explaining that. I hope that everybody, when they see the first payroll check, don't get heart attack, because we need to pay somebody else as well.
Yes,
All right. So,
yes.
so what are the biggest payroll mistake a business owner makes?
Well, a common mistake, and sometimes the person doing the payroll, if doesn't have the experience or the skills required, will normally confuse the employee with the contractor.
Oh yes, can you explain that? It's so important.
Yes, the employee is the person who works for you, takes the direction from you, and takes the tools to execute the task from you. The employer is in control of whatever the employee does. That's why it is the employee. The contractor, even though he's doing a task for you, he is not under your direction. He is not utilizing your tools. He's just taking your guidance on what do you need and how do you need it, and he will get it completed. He is not an employee of the company. So we need to be sure that we classify them correctly. A salesperson could be an employee, could not be an employee, could be a contractor. So we need to make sure we have them classified.
Great. Yeah.
And then another mistake is not withholding the correct
Oh my God.
taxes.
Yes. Yeah.
Then the employee is gonna be short. The books may not match at the end of the month or the year, because the true calculation is gonna show that there is a shortage somewhere.
Yeah, you're in
Then
trouble.
we have to be amending reports with the government.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to do it right, you're supposed to withhold the federal tax and state tax for the employee. So the W-2 is net of whatever you're supposed to pay to the government. So when they file taxes, you know, there's some estimated taxes already been paid to the government, so that's important to know.
Yes.
Yeah, and then like what you said, there's so many other benefits. It's also being deducted off, so you check that to make sure that's correctly calculated. It is complex, but you know it has to be done. And for independent contractor, because they're not an employee, so you're not responsible. So the other
They
withhold,
need to keep track of all those transactions.
So that's not W-2 that you're paying; it's a 1099.
1099. Yes.
So that's a little bit different. Okay,
Yes.
thank you, because that's important to distinguish. What about any advice for small businesses to ensure that they get the payroll done correctly? I know there are a lot of payroll companies out there, so would you recommend?
Yes, there is always the idea of I can do them by hand. Yes, if you have 1, 2, 3 employees, yeah, you can do them. You get a 3 columns book, a lot of pencils and erasers, and yes, you can do them. But if it's more, and there is more than just the federal, state, social security taxes, you need a software that will help you expedite that.
I don't want to keep
so
track.
that you don't make mistakes.
Exactly.
Saying 2 plus 2 is 6. No, 2 plus 2 is 4. The computer will tell you the correct number.
Right.
And for that, there are softwares that are not difficult to use, not too expensive, and the integration is just what you need. For example, going back to QuickBooks Payroll, it's very easy to use. It gives you all the tools that you need. There is another software, mostly online, Gusto. It's also very easy to use. And then the commonly known by all businesses, ADP. They will also help you with that.
Yeah. Okay. So software is very important, but you need to keep track of what goes in, and then you have to do the filing on a regular basis. That's still your responsibility. It doesn't matter what software you use; it's still your responsibility. It's very important. Payroll is still pretty complicated, so let me ask you. So, what is the step-by-step process? How do I process?
Well, it is the step-by-step process is when you start in the business. It's mostly on the startup. After that, it's just a routine. But when you start in the business, you got 3 employees. Okay, the business itself needs to get an employer's ID number, the payer of the payroll. Then you have to determine the classification of your employees. Are they all employees? Are they contractors? You have a contractor or not? You as the owner, are you getting paid or not? Depending on the type of the business structure. Then you set up the payroll schedule. How often are you going to be paying? Weekly, bi-weekly, monthly? It's
not scheduled. Whenever I feel like it.
After you have the schedules, then you start calculating the taxes and make sure that you have the reports correctly, because they need to be
submitted, right?
They gotta be submitted to the federal and state governments.
Quarterly basis?
Quarterly basis.
Okay, good.
And then at the end of the year is total and they gotta match.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so sounds complicated. So
it is complicated.
I'm going to call you, all right? It sounds pretty complicated. Nice breakdown. Do I ever get audited, on the payroll? Is it like a frequent thing that people be aware of? Because it's not done right.
The IRS does it every so often. The state does it more often than the federal government. And especially when they see that you made a mistake on the calculation of the taxes. Maybe you made an error 1 year, so they go in the next year to be sure that you're not making that mistake again. It's not a big audit, but they want to make sure you got it running correctly. And they will offer tools. If they see that you're lacking or struggling, they will offer tools too. They want you to succeed.
Yeah.
But they have to make sure you're doing that.
So there's like 2 sides. One is bookkeeping from normal running of the business, and then the other, even more important, is like paying your employees. And there's a lot of complexities, because it's not just like paying the money. You need to help them do all the withholding, to help them do the estimated tax, to the government, to the state, and then if there are benefits, you have to like take it out and then pay to the whatever healthcare and all that stuff.
Keep in mind that payroll is a function of the bookkeeping process.
That's true.
Where the bookkeeper needs to keep track of every check, every employee, and make sure that it has the transactions correctly to be able to report it on the monthly or quarterly or yearly financial statements.
Yes.
So it's a very important function.
I absolutely agree. So thank you, Atilio, for all this sharing. I think it's very complex, but also it's important to know it. If you know it right and start off with the right foot, then everything is a lot simpler because just replicating and checking for mistakes instead of what's going on, and then please do not delay because there are penalties that compile, and then the more you delay it, the more complex. You always know how complicated to fix a problem. Like, is it easier to fix a problem today, or is it easier to fix a problem like 5, 10, 20 days later? So I would say, get it right, start off with the right foot, and if it's too complicated, call an expert to assist. And there are tools to help you, but you need to take the first step. So that's all I have,
Yes,
thank you so much.
That is correct, yes.
Mm-hmm. So thank you for watching today's episode on payroll and bookkeeping. Oh, I think we have a question from the audience.
Yeah, I'm a solopreneur. I've just hired my first employee. What's the best and easiest way for me to start the payroll for him?
Well, yes, if you're started, it's best to acquire a software or get the support from a company like ADP so that you get it on your feet correctly. And later on, if the transaction is not that big, maybe you can take it on your own. But yeah, it's best to
I
start
think so too. Yeah, it's
with the support from a company.
Yeah, it's not a lot of money, and it's not worth making the mistake. And then if you want to have a good history of what has been filed, and also these the tax forms keep changing. So
Yes.
if you're not on top of it, I mean, you spend even more money trying to correct some stupid, silly mistakes.
The most time consuming and more confusing is tax compliance. It's so confusing.
Yeah, because the forms keep changing, and then the numbers and the rates, all that, even every single year they adjust the inflation rate. So every year it's going to be a little bit different. And if you have one employee, okay. But if you have 5, 10, and then your company start growing, that's a lot of work.
Yes.
And I'm sure that it's better, your time is better spent somewhere else, and then just farm it out to somebody else to assist. We have another question. Yes, come on.
As the owner of the business, do I have to set up payroll for myself?
Well, it all depends on your business structure. For example, if you're a sole proprietor, you don't need to because the money flows right into your personal 1040 and it will be taxed that way. However, if you're an S Corp or a C Corp, it's recommendable that you pay yourself with a W-2, and you're gonna have to keep track of all those expenses, payroll taxes, and make sure they are properly reported.
Yep, great, wonderful. Thank you for all this great sharing. I think I learned a lot, and I think also I have a better appreciation on the level of complexity and why it's important to keep track. And I know there's softwares out there, and if I am in a time crunch, or if I think that this is not something I can handle properly, my time is probably better spent running my business, and I would probably call a professional to come in and assist. So thank you for watching today's episode, and let's keep learning, and we will be posting it shortly and sharing all the new information that we have. Thank you very much.
Thank you.